I love it. It'll be on the outtakes and at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, Veronica. I'm sure it will.
I mean, we don't have to. Come on, we're
Do you have an
people
echo?
have to know that you have a really good sense of humor too. You're not just a serious, word salad guy.
You know what? I think it's better that people don't know me, and I just continue to be the hated villain that they all so desperately deserve.
No one hates you. Where are you getting this?
Strong disdain for. How about that?
No, I
What?
think that I think that people like to bug you because you're the word salad guy. But that's fine. I mean, it's okay to be that guy.
I don't know what that means. All I know is I'm limited to 280 characters. Sometimes a
on.
big word will often substitute an entire sentence. That's worth a lot when you're only dealing with 280 characters. I can't help it. These peons can't fucking read. Pick up a book. Christ.
You're rereading a book right now, aren't you?
I am. Don't start interviewing me. Do you have an echo? Do I need headphones?
I don't have an echo.
Okay. I am rereading a book. Yes. I'm re-listening to a book.
I know, but I was just about to say, you've told me you don't like actually sitting down and reading. You listen to books.
It's really funny too, because we just ran an academy, and a couple students felt particularly moved to send me gifts. So I just got 7 hardback books in the last 3 days. And I don't know how to break it to them that all it's going to prompt me to do is download the same title on Audible. I
mean, it's as long as I think it's the information they want to share with you, not, I mean, I think it's just nice to have a library. It's pompous and elitist to have a library. And so it goes right in with your whole persona, right?
It's so funny because that couldn't be any further away from who I am. And
I hope that people sense my sarcasm.
No,
but I mean, it's still nice to have a library. Right?
I genuinely think people have that view of me, though. I think people think that I wear sweaters with leather patches on the elbow and.
Well, I mean, it would match your inspirational quotes on Instagram that are just nauseating. You know what? That is one thing that you. No, that is one thing that you and 18-year-old yoga instructors have in common. The inspirational quote game is on point, and I am just.
Okay, first of all, you're not reading them correctly. They are not inspirational at all. Not even a little bit. They are very stoic and very cold, if you will.
Look, when I said to Landon, I'm like, wow, Berkey's inspirational quote game is on point. He didn't say those aren't inspirational quotes. So I guarantee you that if I put a survey out on Twitter right now, are Berkey's Instagram quotes inspirational or stoic? I would guarantee you that most people would say they're inspirational quotes.
That's fine. That's fine. But the truth of the matter is,
so you're saying
they're very
I'm right.
Dark. They hardly inspire anybody to do anything other than accept the current reality that we're in and try to do better tomorrow. Most inspirational quotes are a bit on the trite side and somehow are derived from the golden rule or some other simple rule of thumb that we have to treat people better.
So
whatever.
Speaking of you and these inspirational quotes, you come across as really well put together. You've got an academy, you've got a mansion, you've got Landon now working with you in poker I was about to say Poker After Dark.
We have. Did you put me on the couch without me knowing?
No. I want to hear your vulnerabilities. I want to dive into Berkey, the non-perfect side, the guy who struggles, where a lot of us can find commonalities with you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Do you struggle on a daily basis? Do you struggle sometimes to go to the gym? Do you struggle sometimes thinking that you're terrible at poker? Do you have these struggles?
Are you?
No, I'm serious. I want to seriously ask because I feel like your social media portrays you as Mr. Perfection.
Stop. That's so silly.
I've been friends with you for how long? I've been following you for how long on social media? You really have this portrayal of yourself. And I feel like not all of us see your struggle.
Okay. I mean, I think that a bit too vulnerable when it comes to things I struggle with. And that causes a lot of, I would say, it makes me too available, both in a general sense and to criticisms. I don't think the internet is a safe place to be vulnerable. And I think that just by nature, who I am, I don't really protect myself in that way because I don't care. Like I just feel pretty comfortable with who I am and where I'm weak. But yeah, I struggle minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, far, far, far more than I enjoy the fruits of my labor.
What's your biggest struggle day to day?
Existence. I mean, I don't know. Like, when are we not going through some sort of existential crisis? Like, I'm getting older. We age out of everything at some point. That's a hard thing to just grasp onto. Just, commit to the fact that things that you've enjoyed for decades on end suddenly become more of a challenge or less available or what. Like, I still haven't really had the conversation with myself that I'm never going to step on a baseball diamond again. That's fact, but I'm only 6 years removed from the last time that I threw a pitch. And in my head, 2 months of training, I could get right back out there to college form, be totally fine. I'm in good shape. I think that I could compete at a high level. Fact of the matter, probably would need some health insurance and a visit to a physical therapist immediately after if I tried.
Age is a very interesting thing that none of us can escape, hopefully, right? And it's one of those isms. I get a lot of ageism as a woman in my mid 40s. I get a lot of ageism, and it's one of those things, like, you can be sexist. You'll never experience that other sex's life unless you change genders or whatever. Racism, you don't have an understanding of another race's experience. But ageism, you will get there. It's such a weird ism for me because most of us will get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to view it, honestly, because I think that we're in this little weird sphere, especially just this day and age is less delineated by your exact number and more by your lifestyle. Right. So I feel a little bit more insulated in the sense that no matter what new age bracket I fall into, I always look around at people who are comparable in age and think they are so much older than me.
Right. I feel the same way. Even younger people with struggling with technology, not taking care of their health. And as we get older, we further and further separate ourselves from the people who are stagnant and refuse to work at things. Because, this is like a whole podcast on getting old, obviously. No, it's harder and harder, I think, every year to maintain. And sometimes we just don't want to maintain. Sometimes honestly, we want to improve.
Yeah, the only thing that feels more difficult for me to maintain is that lofty, pie-eyed view of the future where you're just striving towards some sort of great endeavor. And I guess I've always had that outlook since a kid. But at some point, you kind of start to take stock and it's just have I actually achieved my full potential at this point? And do I have enough time to actually make a lasting impact? It's difficult to measure. Who knows?
So I don't want to make this all about age. And I know that SolverY is doing, you're doing boot camps. You've got the whiteboard course. You've got Poker Out Loud. But I really wanted to talk to you about To Be Determined. Okay. Just because it's been very exciting for me for poker to have a focus again, a movie again, even though it's a documentary, not an actual movie. It's still something for poker again. And I just want to ask you how it all came to fruition. Where did this idea come from? Who did you approach? How did you get started on it?
Yeah, it was a little bit of good timing and a little bit of a coincidence, I guess. So the idea got kicked around in the fall of 2017, and we were a year removed from Dead Money being released, and maybe a couple months removed from winning the GPI award for it. So the idea that we had this strength in pigtails that we wanted to lean heavily on was at the forefront of, I think, everybody's mind. Like, we knew we wanted to leverage them to the best of our ability. And we had kind of committed to one big project a year. Like, as soon as Dead Money was a wrap, we were like, okay, this was a really good endeavor. Let's commit to one big project a year. And we were in New Jersey for whatever the Borgata fall event is, and the 3,500 WPT or whatever. And we'd rented a house in Brigantine. It was like me, Christian, Corey, and a couple others. And then Christian's good friend from home, Oscar, the main character of To Be Determined. And, we were all grinding the 3,500. Like, even Corey, whose average live buy-in was probably like $500 at the time, was able to sell some action and get himself into the 3,500 WPT. It was a big deal for him. But Oscar, like a 1-2 live grinder who maybe has a few $1,000s in his bankroll, he lives check to check. Essentially, like, he's both grinding with and paying his bills / surviving off of his bankroll. So it's constantly being depleted. He's playing, 25 cent, 50 cent online, maybe WSOP.com or something like that. And I'm getting some work done while he's off in the background playing. And I'm just watching him ride this emotional roller coaster on every pot. I mean, it's celebrations when he wins, 100 big blind pot at 25 cent, 50 cent. It's utter despair when he gets sucked out on for a comparable size pot. Eventually, like, the session comes to an end. It was a bad one. The laptop gets slammed. They get thrown. And it really triggered something in me, because I remember what it's like to be in that position. And at the time, I wasn't that far removed. Like, it was 2017. I was broke in 2012. But I was a way different kind of broke. Like, I was very established already. I was 10 years into my career at that point. I had 6-figure scores under my belt. I'd played as big as 50, 100. Like, I had earning potential, and it was literally just a matter of financing. And within a year, I had $500,000 again. Oscar didn't have that path available, and it was very clear. He was just absolutely stuck in a rut, nearing a plateau maybe, or already had plateaued and is on his way back down. But like, what was abundantly clear is he represented a 9-to-5 grind. And I just remember, like, starting off in poker feeling that way, always feeling like it's a hopeless struggle where you're just biding your time until you go broke. And it like dawned on me that, like, this is a much bigger, better project than Dead Money, because 95+% of the poker community can relate to Oscar, whereas almost nobody can relate to what it's like to train for a 300K buy-in.
So okay. Did you watch my review on?
I haven't yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. So we're going to talk about it right now, because I really loved, before I say what I didn't like, I love that Solve for Why and you are really dedicated to poker in general. You're training people. You give a fuck about the poker community, and I really admire that in you. I admire Solve for Why for just maintaining the limelight on poker. And so this documentary was really well done, really well produced. I loved all the contributions. I did have a problem with Oscar. And so when you talk to me about, you potentially paralleling his journey, the one thing I didn't like about Oscar is that he lacked this, what seemed like, from my perspective as the viewer, he lacked this passion for poker. And so it didn't seem like he wanted to learn poker. Like, when you talk to Landon doesn't care about money. He would sleep on a mattress outside, I guarantee you, as long as he could just play, and all he cares about is the game. And he's really passionate about the game. And I felt like Oscar either he lost it or didn't have it. I know he was like a 1-2 grinder for like 10 years. And it was just like a very flat story to me. I would have preferred as a viewer to see a linear, and not just linear, but like a struggle, a journey, a passion for the game. I know he does represent a lot of the population, but as for the documentary, I kind of felt like he may have been the wrong choice. What do you think?
I'm glad that's your response, honestly. nobody should be able to relate to Landon. He's young, untested, hasn't really suffered, and doesn't really represent the collective. Oscar is precisely everybody who's reached that endpoint in their career. And it really drew the best out of the interview subjects as well, because almost everybody that we pulled has been in this game for 10 plus years. And almost every single one of them has found a secondary source of income or really reached like an elite stratosphere in poker that allows them to self-sustain simply off high stakes. Oscar isn't that and won't ever be that, and neither is the viewer. So I get the idea of wanting the hero's journey as we see it scripted in a Marvel comic, but the truth is that that flat line is the actual pulse of what it is to commit to a dream that has a very low bar set and turns into the rat race. And I don't even just mean poker, right? Like Oscar's representative of everybody that never made it out of an entry-level position and is just doing what they have to do to get by.
But do we want to watch a documentary on that? Because we want to watch a document. Like for me, I would have liked someone who started at 1-2, played 2-5 a bit, tried to shot take in 5-10, got destroyed, came back, studied, was pissed, but then was still passionate, and just this like up and down. But it felt kind of like he was stagnant, and it felt like, and I know that this happens over time. Like you initially start off really passionate, and then 10 years goes by, and you're stuck in a rut. And you've lost that passion, and you just are grasping at straws. Like when he talks about his his pocket kings versus 5-3, and how he got it all in, and he couldn't believe that the other player did that. And it's like, well, yeah, you should be happy that he did play that badly. But just to backtrack, I just found him to not be passionate about poker. I just found him to be just kind of like this sad sap to watch. I'm just gonna say it. It was just like a sad. It's
real.
I hated watching it.
If you set out to watch a documentary,
I loved the movie. I hated watching it.
Good. Have you ever seen the YouTube channel? I think it's called like The White Underbelly or something along those lines.
Yes, I've seen a few. Yes.
Are you disappointed in the story arcs there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay.
If you interview a homeless person, do you expect to see them go through the rise and fall or a jump or
right? But okay,
street worker,
so
you know what I mean?
Like I think we're both right. Like I think you're right that he does represent a population of poker that is the majority. I do think that like most of us get stuck. I do think all of what you're saying is true. I'm saying for the viewer, I think we all enjoy the hero's journey. And the hero doesn't mean that the hero ends up playing 10-25 or 50-100 and crushing. The hero might still end up at 1-2. But
all you're saying is that you want to still believe in the dream or believe the dream is survival when it's all said and done. And that's fine. You don't have to see yourself in Oscar. I think what's more important though is people recognize how difficult of a dream it actually is to grasp and how few people actually have the availability to that. Everybody wants to watch the story of how a professional athlete rose to the ranks, but nobody wants to watch the 99 others that tried, made it to some sort of level and failed. So like, yeah, sure. Landon would be amazing to do a to be determined documentary on, but it's a totally different storyline. And a lot of the elements that you probably truly love about this wouldn't apply. There's no reason to have a segment about risk that Maria Konnikova just so eloquently dives into how the psychology of our brain works and, parallels it to John von Neumann's study of game theory and where there's no need for that because Landon's already pre-programmed to be over that human element. He's already wired differently and he has skill set available to him.
I think Landon's just like a really a big outlier. Maybe even someone else who's a little bit more passionate. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that does make a lot of sense, and I think it kind of drives people to watch it too, just to see the reality. But it also deters people from potentially joining because, like, if you look at the Moneymaker era, we all were in love with this dream. We were all in love with these characters, and like that is. completely gone from this, besides the people adding in the commentary, like Lucky
Yeah.
Chewy and stuff. But it's just
Well,
like
you
a
hope that,
grim
like, the stark
reality.
contrast between the two is kind of like what demonstrates both ends of the spectrum, and then people can just like cling to whichever side they gravitate towards more. I'm not saying you're going to relate closer to Nick Schulman than you will to Oscar, but I think that for a lot of people who are passionate, they can recognize that that's what deciphers them from Oscar and gives them a better path forward.
So talk to me about having Oscar, because halfway through the movie, he goes and does the Solve for Why Academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that. What was it like having him there? Because I'm assuming it wasn't just like staged. He actually went there and tried to go through the academy. How did that go?
Hit and miss, I would say. There are some things that I would have done differently. I thought like the biggest wins that we had from that were discussions that he and I had that were a lot more zoomed out than just poker strategy. Like the scene where we're on the couch kind of discussing the bigger picture of the shit that he's caught in, I thought was like a really teachable moment for him, and also just like a nice chunk of what the underlying premise of this movie was all about. But I think we kind of missed a little bit on teaching him strategy, because you're right, he wasn't very open, right?
Yeah.
And him coming to the academy was probably the most excited he was throughout this entire process, because it represented an opportunity. So for him, it was a path forward to get him out of the shit. It wasn't meant to be a reality check, and it turned into one very quickly. And I think part of that has to do with like the relationship him and Christian have, and how, taking constructive criticism is hard enough. Taking constructive criticism from a good friend who's in a position of power, like Chin was in the academy footage, is way more difficult. So I think that like a group setting like that probably wasn't ideal without previous prep work. Like we kind of just threw him into that. And I find that to be a little bit regrettable. But, along the same lines, he was uber resistant, both prior, during, and after.
Yes, I noticed that in the movie, and it was really frustrating to me. And now that you tell me the dynamic between him and Christian, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it allowed him to like double down on his resistance, because already he doesn't think this strategy is applicable in the games he plays. And then on top of that, he feels attacked by a good friend.
Right. It's almost like if it's almost like he can't take the camera and focus it out and just see the big picture within poker. He's just so fixated on his like 1-2 game and his hands, and just that one loss in a vacuum.
I can relate to that. I mean, not really in my adult life, but as a child, I definitely relate to that. Like when you're struggling to know the answer for tomorrow, it's really difficult to look ahead years, months, whatever. So like for him, that one hand represents food on the table, rent paid, whatever the case may be. And it's difficult not to feel like the world's conspiring against you when, just variance happens. It's hard to have that zoomed out big picture approach of no big deal. I'll just keep playing that spot infinite times and I'll demonstrate profit over the long run, for a couple of reasons. Number one, he doesn't know where his skill edge actually is derived from, if he even has one. And then number two, he has no idea if he's going to be funded long enough to actually see the benefit of that spot. So the big, I think, conflict that most people struggle with when specifically they're underrolled, but even more specifically when they're living off their bankroll, is that they don't understand the clusters of luck that occur, both good and bad. And when they fall into either one of those clusters, they overinvest in the feedback loop that is that little chunk of luck, right? So when it's negative, they fall into this deep spiral where there's no way out, and suddenly everything does become a harsh reality. Like, oh shit, I am way underfunded. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to play tomorrow. How am I going to eat? I need to start looking into jobs, yada, 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 right? Now, all of a sudden you start trying to figure out the rest of your life in a matter of seconds. And when good things happen, you just forget all of that. All of your problems wash away, and suddenly like all is right in the world. Finally, breaks are coming our way, and we're going to turn this 5,000 into 50 and never look back.
Super bipolar. Do you ever have a hard talk with your students, or did you talk to Oscar at all about like maybe this isn't for you?
I think that that's a little bit of what that couch talk was. And yeah, he and I had that discussion more than probably him and anyone else. Um, I've had a fair number of those conversations with students. Not that I take pride in this, but I definitely think one of the secondary benefits of running things like the academy and like homeschool that we just did, which is a super intensive 5 week long course where it's like 30 to 50 hours of study, is that some people who aren't necessarily Oscar, but may fall into comparable mindsets or skill sets as him, walk away from an intensive program like the academy or homeschool and just say, poker's not for me. And I think like one big mistake that a lot of training does, particularly when they're targeting entry level players, is selling them the lie that everybody has the same ceiling available to them. I take like I don't necessarily take pride in this, but I would much rather issue a refund to somebody who says, "Hey, you really opened my eyes. Poker's not for me. I don't really want to pursue this seriously anymore, and I'm happy to just like move on to bigger and better things in life." Like that's great, because the fact is there's only a tiny little percentage of people who are going to thrive from this game. There's a chunk of people that will enjoy this game and derive some sort of secondary income or fun money, whatever you want to call from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a large subset of people that are just essentially drawing dead. And I think that it's like really irresponsible to keep selling the dream to people that are drawing dead, even though that betters my bottom line.
Unless they're the whales in your game.
That's different though. Like when I'm qualifying drawing dead, I mean,
Right.
or I should say when I'm quantifying drawing dead, what I mean is like they'll go broke.
Right.
Like whales in my game, they couldn't lose their amount of money in 10 lifetimes.
Oh, yes. I know the games you play. I also see those games on your social media. I scroll quickly through the inspirational quotes to get to the real good
Sure.
stuff.
Sure. You're there for the chip porn. I understand.
I am. So, anything else coming up with PokerGo for you or Solve for Why?
Yeah, this isn't, I don't think this is public yet, but I'm pretty confident I'm allowed to talk about it.
Ooh, do tell.
We partnered with PokerGo for the WSOP Live. So we'll be the official training, like the sponsored training site for the WSOP this year. So we're going to have a booth at the series. We're going to have like our branding all throughout the final tables and in the broadcast and things like that. I'll be hopping in the booth to do some commentary. It should be a good time.
Nice. Congratulations. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to
That's
be
good
great.
to hear. Proud of you.
Thank you.
And so tell me about the next boot camp. You said it's coming up in August?
Yeah, it's going to be the end of August. We haven't solidified dates yet, but I think it's going to be around the 26th. So the plan is, it's tough because Pigtails is out of LA. So we try to like coordinate everything together as best we can. So we're going to start advertising for that academy next week and start taking signups. We already have like, it's easy. It's actually pretty easy this time around because we had to cancel an academy last April for COVID. So there's just like a fairly long list of people who we owe a seat to. So I would say that it's probably already half filled, despite the fact that we haven't started advertising it yet. And then we are also going to try to film a full season of Poker Out Loud, and then potentially a season for YouTube. The latter just really depends on if we can get enough interest from, I don't know, people with platforms, I guess. Doing the YouTube seasons don't make a ton of sense financially. It's a good marketing funnel, but it doesn't really make a ton of sense unless we can kind of start to spread the reach beyond our 35,000 or 39,000 followers, whatever it is.
Now, I keep saying it's, I think, one of the best concepts in poker. I know a lot of people don't want to do final tables like that, but has anyone else expressed any interest in using that type of format?
No. A lot of people have suggestions. of things that we can do that would pique their interest. In general, they're pretty bad suggestions, and they're none that I haven't already thought of. The number one that I get all the time is like, you should just get a bunch of amateurs on there. I'd love to hear what the rec in my game is thinking. It's like, well, I can save you the time. He's just not.
They're not. Yeah.
Right. Like the whole idea is that the reason why those fishy players are bad is because they're just random. Everything they do is just at random. They're a victim to their emotions. So studying that, you'd just be better off studying human behavior and psychology than you would trying to dissect their speech in real time. I think that there is opportunity for us to potentially license this, but the problem is that like there's nothing proprietary. So if somebody else wanted to just rip it off, they can. And I don't really think this industry cares all that much.
I think the biggest problem is pros not wanting to talk through
that's what
strategy.
protects us, right? Is like it's almost impossible for PokerGo to do something like this because of the integrity of the game. There's a lot of trust that goes into this. We police it obviously very diligently, but at the same token, we're not playing very high stakes. Mm-hmm. And everybody we invite is like a part of a close inner circle where nobody would scum one another. We're doing it for teaching purposes, right? So the integrity of the game is massive. It prevents it from really taking off on any sort of public platform. And then secondarily, the information being leaked. Like there's a huge difference between Lucky Chewy doing this for us behind our subscription site where 1,000 people are going to view it, as opposed to doing it on Poker After Dark where, maybe 20 to 100,000 people might view it. Right.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, let me know if anything changes with that, but I do think it's one of my favorite poker shows to watch. I just wish there was more of it.
Well, we're going to double dip some. So like we already have the On Second Thought product, which basically goes through and compares solver outputs to real-time thought.
Yes, I love it.
I actually enjoy that more than the actual Poker Out Loud.
I mean, you can't watch Poker Out Loud without On Second Thought. I just don't think that it makes sense. Like you really need to go back and run the solver and discuss strategy about what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to kind of zoom in on a few of the more interesting spots and just like create more content. But second to that, I think that, and I've already done this once with the student edition where I went through and I created a course just identifying like the biggest leaks that the students had, compared it a little bit to solver analysis, a little bit to just observation of the environment, things of that nature. I want to do a lot more of that where we're just kind of creating a big picture strategy theme for a course and then running through all of this footage that we have available to us to kind of demonstrate it in motion.
So what's the difference between that and your new whiteboard course that I saw you guys tweeted?
Yeah, so Quick Studies is a fun project that I'm really hoping is going to take off at some point. Essentially, we needed to get some free content out there first and foremost. We do have a free side to our site, the Free Roll Access Pass, which for what it's worth, to be determined is there, but it'll only be there for another week. So starting July 1st, we have to put it behind the paywall per our agreement with PokerGo. So anybody who hasn't seen it yet, wants to watch it for free, now's a good time to go. But Quick Studies is, it's an introductory course that is probably a little bit too elementary for somebody who's going to pay for training, but is kind of perfect for somebody who is unsure of how to get into training and like where the first steps are. So we basically designed this 6-part curriculum where it begins with kind of like identifying what the most common leaks are at low stakes, going through and laying the broadest brush strokes for strategy. So, just gravitating towards the simplest game theory principles like EV, SPR, equity denial, ranges, blockers, stuff like that. And using simple whiteboard animation to kind of describe it in 2 to 3 minutes. The idea just being that it's a digestible, entertaining, engaging form of poker study.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I will put the videos up while you're talking. So most important thing that I needed to talk to you about today, and this is serious, and I need you to really, really be serious with
Sure.
me. Why aren't you following me on Twitter?
Won't happen.
Stop.
Permaban.
You you literally retweet me on a regular basis. I know
That's some
you
good
you
stuff.
probably have my notifications turned on.
No,
Come on, tell the truth.
I'll
But
never give you the
but
satisfaction.
why are you so stubborn? We've been friends for so long. I was just at your house literally like 2 weeks ago.
I didn't
You
see
were you were sleeping, but
Sure.
I was there.
That doesn't sound super stalkerish or anything.
I was invited. Okay, I'm not stalking you.
By who?
By Landon. Okay.
Oh, sure. The child of the sim. Uh, I will never follow you. It's a hard, fast rule at this
Is
point.
it really the meme?
You made me into a meme that had you on the temporary ban list. Then you
That was
made
before
it-
you and I were friends, and I thought the
Sure.
meme was good. It was cute.
You fucked up my arm and made it look like I was
Didn't fuck up
More
your
of a
arm. The
some sort of
TV fucked
performance.
up your arm.
Yeah, sure. And since then, you've made it a big deal that I'm not following you, making it the easiest gag of all time to ensure that I never follow you.
No, last time you were on my show, you were like, "How come you didn't ask me about the Twitter thing?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll ask you next time." So here we are. So don't even start with me because I will dig it up.
Why would you ever take the bait, Veronica? This is just way too easy. I will absolutely never follow you. And if there's ever been a question of my dedication to a bit, this will be the easiest.
You'll take it to your grave. I just don't
no-brainer.
understand. You come to my cabana on my birthday.
It was your birthday.
Oh no, it was the weekend before my birthday. You come to Poker After Dark obviously because I'm on there.
Oh yeah, that's why. That's why. Yeah, I just found out I have the second most appearances since the reboot of anyone, right behind Randall Emmett. What does that say about me?
I was hoping he was supposed to. I mean, you're probably the whale. I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
does the game die when you leave?
I mean, I don't leave until the game dies, so it's tough to say.
I mean, here we are, right?
Here we are.
Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you went to a game tonight. And oh, by the way, I'm getting my citizenship on Saturday. I'm being sworn in.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you.
Or just American?
Dual? Oh, I'm going to have 3 citizenships. I'm going to have Polish, Canadian, and American.
You don't have to give up any of them?
No.
Wow.
That's why I hired a lawyer.
Interesting. Can you, is there any tax breaks to this?
No, there's don't get kicked out when your green card expires break. Yeah. Yeah. I have a nice job. I really love where I live. I want to stay. So.
I mean, you live in California. I don't think they're trying to kick anybody out at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm paying a lot of taxes, so they should keep me.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Go down with that sinking ship.
Hey, as soon as Bitcoin hits 100,000, I'm moving to Las Vegas. Or I might. I don't know. I might buy a place in Las Vegas at the very least, so I could go out
I gotta
there.
tell you, you'll be the only one who is moving to Las Vegas when Bitcoin hits 100K. The rest of us will be long gone.
Good. Then maybe you can rent me a room in your place because
You just have it, actually.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take it. I'll just give you like $700 for it.
Just give me a Bitcoin. We'll call it a day.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, Berkey, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Oh. A mustache, you say?
Where did you find that? You're so funny. Okay, I need to try some of this. So
dig
video
this.
filters. Oh, see, you've
And
got these
real
cool
red.
backgrounds. I'm going to do a cool background.
All right, how do I get out of this? None. I don't want a virtual background. What the hell?
You can go to none. There's a none option there.
Can you hear me yet?
Yes.
I can't hear you. That's a problem.
Well, that's not my problem.
Hold on. How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I hear you now.
Oh, I've been hearing you the entire time. The entire pink eyebrows and mustache fiasco I've been listening to.
Oh, that was recorded, wasn't it?
Yes.
Fuck.